Cards by Kate Fletcher. Today I'm going to be setting this week's challenge for my Carona craft challenge. Apologies for the fact there wasn't one last week. I did put up a post explaining why, and I also would like to thank you all for your kind comments and the love you sent last week when I went through that awful time. So this week's challenge is a little bit different. It's actually contained in this pot here. It's a challenge inspired by something that happened to me in Scotland last year. I went up for a holiday, and while I was there I was gifted some craft supplies. And obviously if you give a craft supplies, they're going to want to use them straight away. But I had nothing with me. And I mean nothing. So all I had was the supplies I'd been gifted, and it was a really interesting personal challenge to see what I could create using only what was in the box that I'd been given and things I could find around my holiday chalet to use. So that is what we're going to be doing this week. In this pot I have 16 pieces of paper, so I'm going to pull 8 out. We're going to open them up and see what we have to play with. So let's get into this. Right, the first item that we have for this week's challenge, I can't get it open. You have dies, so you are allowed to use dies, which means I will also allow a die cutting machine, because otherwise what's the point? Right, next thing that we are going to be allowed to use I just got one there. Okay, the next thing we're allowed to use is ribbon. Okay, let's see what else. Try and shake them up really good. The next thing we'll be using this week, oh, they've all jumped together. Let's have a look. Embossing folders. So you can use an embossing folder. Right, the next thing that we will be using for this week's challenge is Nouveau drops, or the equivalents. If you haven't got Nouveau drops but you've got the Dovecraft pearls, you can use those, but you can't use both. It's one or the other on this one. So that's 4, so we're halfway there. How are those brain cells doing? Are you already thinking through your stash and thinking what you might be able to make? Right, the next item that you are allowed to use for this week's challenge, washi tape. Okay. Trying to keep a mental note of how many we've done here. Okay, next we have stencils. So with that, I will also allow embellishment mousse, or something to colour the stencil with. Okay. How many have we done now? 2, 4, 6. Right, we've got 2 more to pick out. Okay, what is this one going to be? Sequins. So you are allowed to use sequins. Right, and the last thing you are allowed to use this week for the challenge is Are they you go, one colouring medium. So you can either use watercolours or you could use alcohol markers. You could use, distress inks. Just one though. You're not allowed to pick a mixture, which might come in quite handy with those stencils. Okay, so these are the only items you are allowed to use. Okay, so if it's not listed here, you can't use it. I will also obviously allow scissors and or a craft knife, one adhesive, so you can use one type of glue. I'll give you one type of cardstock, or you can use pre-made card blanks. It's entirely up to you. Some ideas of what you're not allowed to use. You are not allowed to use any paper pads with paper pattern pads, which I know is going to be hard. It was in the jar. I'll open them all up in a minute so you can see exactly what else I had in there. But you're not allowed to use DSP pads because they're not here. You can't use embellishments other than sequins and ribbon. So no I don't know, butterfly stickers or heart stickers or nothing like that. Okay. I'll let you have a scoreboard for this week because I think that's one of the first things people tend to buy when they're starting out, and that's kind of where my brain was going with this kind of challenge. But apart from that, that's it. So you can either have cardstock or pre-made card blanks. You can choose whichever you want. You can have one type of glue or adhesive, and you can have a scoreboard. Okay, you can also have a die cutting machine. You are allowed to use stencils, washi tape, ribbon, dies, Nuvo drops or the equivalent, sequins, embossing folders, and one colouring medium, like watercolours or alcohol markers, something like that. With the stencils, if you've got an embellishment mousse, I'll say that's fine for this week. Okay, so that's all you're allowed to use. I will just show you, just to be fair, what else was in the pot. Okay, because fair is fair. So this is kind of like saying, what was that phrase on the game show? Oh, but this is what you could have had. It's kind of like that, isn't it? Right. Do not use any of what I'm about to undo. Glitter. What was that one? There you go. One paper pad. So that was the DSP. Oh, I can't open them all. Foam pads. We also had embossing powders and a heat gun. Distress inks, all inks of choice, and a blending tool, but only 5 colours. One stamp set and an ink pad, and I would have allowed a stamping platform with that, obviously, but we're not allowed that. Toppers, not allowed toppers. And the other things were embellishments like gems, pearls, pre-made bows. So I'll take those away. I just wanted to show you what else was in the pot. I will bring back the things you are allowed to use. I will put this list over on my blog, which as always will be linked in the description box of this video. But I will try and lay these out, so if you want to screenshot the thing to get it, you'd be able to. Right, I think we've got them all in there. Okay, so that is this week's challenge. I hope I've made it really clear. If you do have any questions, you can either comment on the video or drop me an email, you know, whatever you prefer. I look forward to seeing what you have created. I'm kind of starting to think that we're gonna stop this challenge series soon, just because the lockdown's easing up quite a lot. I mean, everyone will have their view. Personally, I don't agree with that. But, you know, I'm not going to get into a big debate about whether lockdown should be lifted or not. I don't think this is ever going to go away completely. So I think if they lock us down again, I'll bring it back. But I think I'm going to be winding this up soon. Maybe next week or the week after. And what I would like to try and do, I don't know if I'll be able to work out how, but I'd like to try and do a kind of collage of the entries, or some of the entries. So if anyone doesn't want me to put your work on my channel, maybe send me a private email. Again, my email's in the description box of the video, just saying, you know, please don't show, that's fine. But I just think it's a nice way, A, to end the challenge series, and B, so everyone gets, you know, credited and something shown and so on and so forth. But I'm not finishing it right now. I'm just kind of thinking out loud and saying it may be coming to an end. But this is this week's challenge. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing what you make. So thank you very much for watching today. Thank you for joining in, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Bye for now.